Mr. Mo Kelly here, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And I wanted to start off the show tonight with something a little different. Usually we don't do the mass shootings. Usually we don't talk about some of the harder news which is out there. But this is a moment I think we need to, because it kind of ties in to something we have been discussing more locally. Of course, I'm talking about the 4 people who were killed in a Georgia high school shooting today. But we're talking about it within the space of our discussion of California schools banning smartphones. Remember, Assembly Bill 3216, renamed the Phone Free School Act, requires that every school district, charter school, and county office of education develop a policy limiting the use of smartphones by July 1st, 2026. Yes, more and more information is coming in about the 14-year-old killer. Yes, he used an AR-15. Yes, he'll be tried as an adult. But I wanted to talk about this through the lens of communication. We know that law enforcement on scene got information from students who were dealing with the shooter. They were able to contact and communicate with them to find out where the shooter was, who the shooter was, and other information which was tactically beneficial to law enforcement. We've also discussed here how this would be implementation of that law, Assembly Bill 3216. We always had concerns, at least I expressed them, as far as parents wanting to get in touch with their children in the event of an emergency. Well, school has just come back, and lo and behold, here is a real world example of such an emergency. Not only did the phones help law enforcement, it helped the families, because in an emergency situation, if these kids had turned in their phone, there would be no communication with law enforcement. There would be no communication or limited communication between students and parents. And I wonder whether this moment, if we take the politics out of it, I wonder whether this moment changes how we conceive of smartphone availability in schools here in California. What happened in Georgia today could be California tomorrow. It's not something which is limited to a certain quadrant of the country. It doesn't matter what city, what state. It could happen anywhere in America. And Twala, you serve a dual role in this conversation. Let me bring you in from the beginning. You're an administrator at a school, and also you're a parent of 2 teenage children. One just graduated high school, but the danger still remains. I don't know where you want to start with this.
I believe it was last week, and I'll look it up, but last week at the school that my son just graduated, there was a school-wide lockdown over a threat of a student bringing a gun on campus. This is just a week ago. Now, it turned out to be a false report, but it was credible enough at the time that they locked down the entire school. The week before that, my daughter goes to her very first high school football game. And after the game, there was a shooting around the corner that was sparked at the game. The confrontation started at the game, and it escalated around the corner and resulted in a shooting. When I see something like this in the news today, I look at the entire concept of this phone ban in a whole new light, because here in California, we know that the accessibility to firearms is not as strict as it may be in other places. And I'm not trying to cast blame on anyone for having a gun, whatever. Do you? What I'm saying is I am more intimately aware of the access to guns here in Southern California. And an incident like this makes me want my daughter to have her phone stapled to her hand, because this could happen anywhere. As I was pulling in, I was talking to one of my closest friends, and we were talking about this exact situation. And I was explaining how how there, before the grace of God, my children could have been involved in any number of confrontations that have resulted in gunfire here in Southern California, not in the Midwest, not in the South, not somewhere foreign to us, right here in Southern California.
How did you know that your son's school had been locked down? Did the school contact you, or did you?
I got an alert from LAUSD. Just because my son was part of that school, so I am still in their system. I got an alert. That's how I knew about it, not from looking on the news.
So in other words, if we were to jump back a year and your son was still in school, the first thing you would have done would have been calling him.
Yes, absolutely. If I would have gotten that alert on my phone and said there has been an incident at this school involving a suspect having a gun on campus, I would have instantaneously, not calling, but I would have been texting. I don't want to call because I don't know the situation. I don't want to alert. I don't know if they're hiding. There's a lockdown, but I would have been texting and I would have needed to know.
All right. Now put on your other hat as an administrator.
I get the concept and the reasons why. I get how these phones can be a nuisance and they are out of control. I get it. I see it. I literally see it. Even when I pick my daughter up and I see every single kid standing outside, they've got a phone in their hand. Sometimes when I would go and pick my daughter up at school during the day, I would see every single kid on the campus walking around with a phone in the middle of a day. But there has to be a very, very comprehensive plan in place. And I don't think they're anywhere near close. I think from everything I've seen, it's when the kids come in, they check in their phones and put them in one of those magnetically sealed bags. And already we're seeing kids, as you said, you predicted, they're already putting dummy phones in. They've already found a way to slit the bottom of the damn bag and pull the phone out. The bags aren't working and they're very expensive. So if anything, they're just going to cost LAUSD and other school districts more money than we already have to burn. Already. So I get the concept, I get the idea, but when something like this happens, this is a hell to the no. Don't take my child's phone.
I wonder if this doesn't fundamentally change what California lawmakers may do, Governor Gavin Newsom may do, whether the individual schools, because they're supposed to come up with some policy by July 1st, 2026. There's a long way between now and then, just under 2 years. I bet that this whole policy will be gone by then, if I were to guess. It's later with Mo Kelly. We have to tell you about this ongoing heat wave. You already know about it. We'll tell you where it's going to go next or how it's going to go next in just a moment.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And I got to say, I'm a pretty fortunate guy. I'm pretty fortunate. I didn't have to deal with too much of the heat today, and I don't have to deal with too much of the heat on a regular basis. Like, I'll get up in the morning, turn on the air conditioning, make sure my dogs are all cool and calm. Then I'll go about my housework, do what I need to do, because I'm doing the housework when my wife isn't at home. We have like opposite schedules. She goes to work very early in the morning, so I usually get up and do the housework. But after I do that, I take my shower, get in the car, air conditioning, then I go to work. Then I pull into the underground parking. And to leave that parking structure and get to iHeart, I have to walk a total of, Stephan, would you say like maybe 30, 35 steps, maybe?
If that.
If that. So I get to feel the heat for about 15, 20 seconds. And that's if I'm walking very slowly. But I can say, without question, it was damn hot for all of that 15 seconds. Now, as I look at the news, it says, triple digit weather in San Fernando Valley, Burbank, Woodland Hills, Pasadena, and it was supposedly reaching between 110 and 115. Now let's be honest. After like 102, it just feels hot as hell to me. There's no way for me to distinguish between 102 and 115, especially not in only 15 steps. But I can agree, it was really, really hot today. And I know it was really uncomfortable. And as I get older, I have less and less tolerance for extremes in temperature. If it's over 85, I am uncomfortable. it's really uncomfortable. But there's a serious aspect to this. It's very dangerous, especially to the elderly or the infirm. This type of heat can be deadly. So we do recommend that you don't take it for granted, that you stay hydrated. Of course, wear loose fitted, light colored clothes and hats. I know I'm wearing black jeans and a gray t-shirt, or I should say a gray polo, but I only had to walk 15 steps in the heat. And when I leave here, it'll be 10:30 at night, and hopefully it'll be about 75. I will say this. When I leave work after hot days like this, it is perfect. It is just glorious. I walk outside, and it feels like a perfect summer night. But that's at like 10 o'clock, 10:30 when I leave. But between time, we have to be safe. And you got to stay cool. You can stay in the shade, of course. Set your air conditioners between 75 and 80 degrees. Close your windows so your air conditioning is not working against that air which is coming in your windows. And here's something that I think people forget. You may want the sunlight to come in, but that heats up your house. So close your shades. Make sure your shades are down. Your blinds, if you have blinds. And if you don't have air conditioning, then visit one of the nearby cooling centers. The cooling centers all around LA County are going to be open for an extended period of time because of this heat. Now, since I'm not a young, spry chicken anymore, these are things that I take to heart. You wouldn't know this because you're not here in the office with me or at the studio, but I think Mark knows this, and I know Stefan knows this. I drink water consistently all day, all evening. It's the only beverage I have, unless I'm on a cruise, and then it's Jack Daniel's neat, no ice. But I try to drink water all the time, and it helps me, even if I'm not thirsty, to keep my body cool, and I recommend that for anyone else. And also, you may be someone like me with an aging relative. My mother, God bless her heart, she's still here, but I still have to check in on her, and I recommend that you check in on your relatives as well, because the heat can have adverse effects on people in ways that you don't think. I mean, for me, I can tolerate the 85, but someone else may not. Mark Ronner can tolerate the cold and the rain. I cannot.
Oh, are you at the point with your wife where you're arguing about the temperature at home and in the car and stuff now? Like, it's too cold in here, but I need some breeze. Oh,
wait. Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and get my ass kicked for saying this because it's a true story. She is going through the change.
Oh, boy. You're on your own now, buddy.
So she has these hot flashes at various points of the day.
Uh-huh.
And the hot flashes mean, regardless of how cold I may be, I have to turn on the air conditioning either in the car or in the house just, to 9 or 10. I have to keep it very, very cold. And it's kind of difficult to navigate that at different points of the day. Now, if it's a day like this, fine, no problem. Let's turn up the air conditioning. But if we're in winter or a mild night, there's a problem.
I want to state for the record that I have nothing but empathy for your wife's hot flashes.
Yes, because you've met her. She'll come for you.
No, I mean, I think I'm more on her side because I am still not acclimated to the heat, even after around 6 years here, close to that. So when I even walk from the car to our lobby and I get that first blast of cool air walking in the lobby, the sounds that I let out are sounding more and more sexual. Like today when I walked in and I got that blast of cold air, I actually said, oh, yeah.
I did the same.
Hello? Hello?
Now you can do it.
Oh, thank you for that. Oh, that was so good. Oh.
You were saying, Stefan?
No, I was telling him I did the exact same thing because you can tell when it's hotter because there's times where you walk into the building and it's just cool, but it literally was like a blast of air. That's how hot it is that the AC is just running. Who knows what the temperature they have it at, but it was like, it hit you in the face.
Yeah, this stuff is not livable if you do not have air conditioning. I'm serious.
No, and I don't know how people do it. Yes, it's a dry heat. Yes, we don't have humidity, but still, it's damn unbearable. It really is. And if you're trying to deal with it for multiple days or maybe a week, I don't see how people deal with it without really solid air conditioning. I'm not talking about a fan and you're like blowing with a water bottle, spraying water into the fan. That's not good enough. You need actual air conditioning.
No, a fan's not going to do it. A fan just pushes around the hot air. And I went to pick up the car from the mechanic today, and I cranked up the AC, and it was still just blasting me with hot air, and I was sweating, and I'm just sitting there suffering. And then I thought if I drive the car a little bit, sometimes you get the engine running, that'll get the cool air because, you don't get the best cold air when you're just sitting there parked with the engine running. So about 5 minutes in, I'm dying. I'm like Superman exposed to the kryptonite. And I look down and I realize, oh, they've cranked up the heat all the way to high. And I didn't notice it all this time. So I could die right now. I mean, Foosh could have to come in here and finish the news.
I was reading the news and it said some of the things that you should do in this hot weather. It says also to take cold showers. That's something I could never do. Now, I could take cool showers, but I never appreciated a cold shower. It was like a shock to the body.
It's a bit much, and it doesn't last. I mean, you have to get out of the shower eventually. Then what? You just start sweating again?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
It's gotten to the point where I have a window right next to mine, and I just leave that open. And I even leave I have like a glass door. I even leave that open because it's so hot. I don't even feel cold coming in like you normally do, like during the winter, because you're just trying to like stay as cool as you can. And I'm just,
Well, another issue here is that it presents a quandary for people like me who wear the same thing all the time, which is mainly black t-shirts. When it's hot like this and sunny, you're supposed to wear looser, lighter colored clothing. I don't have any of that.
Yeah, I don't do that either because most of my wardrobe is usually solid, darker colors because I'm afraid that I'm going to spill something on lighter clothes. I'm being serious.
Oh, no, that always wear dark pants, by the way.
I'm the same way.
You never know what's going to happen.
I don't wear like beige, white,
whether
shorts or anything. I always have dark color.
I have an extra pair of pants in the car right now just because I may spill something. Not that I'll soil myself, but I may spill something on me.
You're reaching that age. I know. Anything can happen. Front or back. You have to be prepared.
Look, they say never trust a fart after 40.
Okay, I wasn't. Okay.
Yes, you were.
Yes, you were. Look at the time.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the states in this country who are most sweet obsessed. You know, the states that love their desserts, their cakes, their candies, their cookies. Where does California rank? Well, if we're doing it, that means we're ranking somewhere. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And let's talk about this study by taffyshop.com of the most sweet obsessed states in America. And you wonder, well, is California on this list? Probably, most likely. I wouldn't say I have a sweet tooth, but as I've gotten older, I've enjoyed sweets more. I was in a household, we really did not have dessert all that often. It was not a thing. And so when I got older and I could, choose my own meals and desserts, I started to like it. I liked chocolate pudding. I found a taste for creme brulee. Weird stuff. And, but I'm not someone who's going to walk into the snack room and just get some donuts or anything like that. Now, if you put donuts out in front of me, we might have a misunderstanding because they're hard to resist. But it's not something I seek out. But from what I hear, Californians do like their sweets. Twala Sharp, do you like your sweets?
I grew up diabetic, so I could not have sugar. And unfortunately, because I couldn't have sugar, my mom didn't get sugar really for my brother. When I moved out, I remember the first thing I said I was going to do, I was going to buy a gigantic box of sugar cereal and just all types of junk food and candy and everything, and I was going to lose my mind. But even now to this day, I don't even drink Coke with sugar. I still maintain like as sugar-free a diet as possible. I just don't like the taste of it, really.
Well, let's see if that holds up around the country as we go to taffyshop.com's list of the most sweet obsessed states in America, coming in at number 10. New Jersey. New Jersey rounds out the top 10 with a sweet obsession score of 60.03. The state has 2.7 million searches for sweet snacks and an average weekly consumption of 13.99 sugary snacks by those aged 1 to 17. Damn.
They'd be higher on the list, but they like the gabagool.
It has 2 candy and chocolate shops per 100,000 and a sugar industry economic output of $2 billion. Coming in at number 9. Idaho. Stop, Mark. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I was waiting.
What? Were you going to suggest that I thought the Nazis there might enjoy some marzipan?
No, I thought you were going to take it a different direction.
Oh,
You're
okay.
going to just go with the end.
That's right.
For it too.
You're right. Idaho, ranking 9th, has a sweet obsession score of 60.1. The state sees 1.5 million searches for sweet snacks, resulting in the third highest weekly consumption of 16.44 sugary snacks by children aged 1 to 17. It has 3 candy and chocolate shops per 100,000 and a relatively low sugar industry economic output of 100 million. Number 8. Ohio, which scores 61.07 on the sweet obsession scale, driven by 5.3 million searches for sweet snacks and children's average consumption of 12.95 sugary snacks per week. It has 3.4 candy and chocolate shops per 100,000 residents and a sugar industry economic output of $2 billion. Wow. Number 7. Kentucky, which has a sweet obsession of 61.58. It has a relatively low number of 2 million searches for sweet snacks and a high average weekly consumption of 17.76 sugary snacks by children age 1 through 17. That's why they have no teeth as adults. And the state has 2.7 candy and chocolate shops per 100,000 population and a sugar industry economic output of 354 million. Now on to number 6. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today, New York. With a sweet obsession score of 61.98, New York registers 4.7 million searches for sweet snacks and an average weekly sugary snack consumption of 13.95 by children. It has a 3.3 candy and chocolate shops per 100,000 people and the second highest sugar industry economic output of $2 billion. Coming in at number 5. Hawaii, with a sweet obsession score of 65.79. The state has 1.4 million searches for sweet snacks and an average consumption of 8.2 sugary snacks per week by children 1 to 17. It has the highest number of candy and chocolate shops, 12 per 100,000, and a moderate sugar industry economic output of 433 million. Number 4, right. Surprising. Vermont, with a sweet obsession score of 66.15. It stands out with the second highest number of candy and chocolate shops, 11.5 per 100,000 residents. Surprisingly, the state has a comparatively low 1.1 million search volume for sweet snacks, and children between the ages of 1 and 17 consume 9.6 sugary snacks on average each week. Sugar economic output, 226 million. Coming in at number 3. California, with a sweet obsession score of 66.8. California ranks 3rd. It leads in search volume with 8.6 million searches for sweet snacks and has an average sugary snack consumption of 9.74 per week for children aged 1 to 17. The state has 3.8 candy and chocolate shops per 100,000, matching Illinois and Pennsylvania's sugar industry economic output of $6 billion.
How many dentists per 100,000?
But where in California? I don't see candy shops anywhere.
Look, there's more to California than LA, San Francisco, and San Diego. That's all I can say. That's all I know. Coming in number 2. As just referenced, Illinois, ranking second, has a sweet obsession score of 70.56. The state sees 3.8 million searches for sweet snacks and has an average weekly consumption of sugary snacks of 13.69 for those aged 1 to 17. Illinois has 3.5 candy and chocolate shops per 100,000 people and a sugary industry economic output of $6 billion. And in first place as the most sweet obsessed state in the union. Pennsylvania, believe it or not, it has the highest sweet obsession score, obviously, of 80. Pennsylvania's love for sugary snacks is reflected in its substantial statewide online search volume for sweet snacks, 3.7 million, and the highest average sugary snacks consumed, 22.86 per week among ages 1 to 17. It also has a decent number of candy and chocolate shops, 3.3 per 100,000 residents, and the highest sugar industry economic output of $6 billion. And there you have it. Sweet obsessed.
Pennsylvania. Who says you need both feet?
Diabetes. We have a Metro update when we come back. And if you weren't listening to Mark Ronner, just know someone got stabbed. We'll tell you that much. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mo Kelly, Metro Update, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Usually we do the Metro Update earlier in the first hour, but there was some confusion, at least on our part, as far as whether this, what I'm about to tell you about, actually happened and was connected to Metro, or was it something that just ended up at a Metro station? And if you might not have heard Mark Ronner's earlier report, let me bring you up to date. Police revealed back on Monday what appeared to be the most recent case of a Metro attack. There's now some question about it, whether it actually happened on Metro. Police initially said that there were two separate stabbings, one of which was believed to have occurred on a train. The attack itself occurred at about 8:25 a.m. in the 5700 block of Jefferson Boulevard. That's according to LAPD. From there, the victim, a man, headed to the train station at Jefferson and La Cienega Boulevards, where he was spotted at around 8:40 a.m. And officers were alerted to the attack by callers at the scene and at the station. The victim was located at the La Brea Exposition Station and then transported to a local hospital. And it was unclear, at least originally, whether the stabbing happened on the platform or prior to the victim arriving at the platform trying to escape his attacker.
I think I can clarify a little bit.
Sure.
In the item that I had just a short time ago, the wire copy said, cops say a man was stabbed this morning on the way to catch the La Brea E-Line train and taken to a hospital. But the story started by saying there's been another stabbing at a Metro station. So it wasn't entirely clear.
No, it's completely unclear. And I'm not trying to wrongfully attribute blame or ascribe blame to Metro as being somehow more unsafe than it already is. You know, they already have enough stabbings on its resume. I don't need to add one unnecessarily.
Yeah, you kind of need to cut them some slack where it's warranted.
But the information we were originally given indicated that it happened connected to Metro or on a Metro property station, what have you. And there's more information coming out that didn't seem to be consistent with that. So we're just letting you know we're aware of the story. And here's something else. Last week when I talked about Metro with Michael Monks, when I was filling in for a brief time for Tim Conway Jr., Michael Monks, KFI's reporter, let me know that Metro had been in constant communication with him regarding my on-air commentaries and how they didn't necessarily approve. I'm just paraphrasing. They didn't approve of my consistent negative coverage. They took issue with certain things that I've said, or maybe not giving Metro enough positive credit. And I told Michael Monks at that time, I said, why are they trying to use you as a proxy or a go-between? They have an open invitation to send a representative here and discuss these issues with us, clear up any misunderstandings that might be out there, but they haven't. And they've emailed other people within the KFI matrix, which have been forwarded to me. And I've responded directly to Metro saying, number one, you're wrong. And number two, you're welcome to come on anytime. You just have to make that formal request or submit someone up as an offering.
I don't understand, Mo, why you hate America like this, because you've got to understand we're in the era of working the ref, not in the era of coming on and stating your case in simple and direct terms. You got to work the ref.
But to use your analogy, when you're working the ref, it's not about that call. It's about the next call. And if you want the next call to go your way, or that I would show some sort of mercy, then you're going to actually have to address me. If you're going to work the ref, speak to the ref. Don't speak to the guy who's working the scorer's table and ask him to talk to the ref on the court.
I think their psyops have already worked a little bit on you, because just a couple minutes ago, you characterized your remarks as negative when, in fact, there may have been a satirical edge to them, but there was nothing negative about them. You're talking about things that have happened.
Oh, absolutely. And I maintain that that's always been my approach. If and when someone gets stabbed, like later tonight, then I will report upon it. I will talk about it. I will talk about the circumstances surrounding it. I will talk about whether crime is increasing or decreasing. I will talk about whether Metro is implementing new procedures or they're taking away procedures. Are they going to add police officers? Are they going to add actual security? Are they going to add Metro ambassadors? Are they going to decrease it? I'm going to talk about all those things. But it would be nice if we had a representative from Metro to either contradict what I'm saying, clarify what I'm saying, or offer some sort of opposing view. Because as far as I'm concerned, look, I'm right until you prove me wrong.
I don't think that's going to happen.
What, they're not going to prove me wrong?
Well, not based on what's been going on so far that we've been able to observe in objective reality. Do you see that coming around the corner?
I wish that they would at least come forward and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we've been doing. This is what you've missed in your commentary that it needs to be added into the conversation. That's what I would want, unless there's nothing to report, unless there's nothing to say, unless there's nothing to add other than the news reports of someone getting shot, stabbed, or sexually assaulted.
It seems like if things happen and they're reported, they're fair game to discuss. And the main problem that people have is that you're not discussing them in a flattering way, which, again, working the ref.
Well, put it this way. There's always the opportunity, since I have contacted them directly, that they can send me something and say, hey, Mo, we don't have a representative that we can offer you, but here's some information that you may want to be aware of and add into the discussion. I'd be open to that if there's anything to offer, but you have to at least make an effort. For as much effort as Metro has made to contact and harass, my word, Michael Monks, they could have contacted me and offered some legitimate information.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's a little strange because Michael is a reporter. He's not somebody who gives his opinion about things on the air, so it's strange to lean on him in the first place.
No, well, look, as if that's the only person they know from KFI. I mean, look, I don't think of myself as an intimidating guy. I think of myself as warm and fuzzy.
That's how I think of you, too. Cuddly, in fact.
Had to make it weird, didn't you?
Yet mostly dry.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
The ABC News presidential debate simulcast. KFI will bring it to you live this Tuesday evening at 6 p.m.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.